ओम। 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 सदाशिव समारंभां
सदाशिव समारंभाम्
शंकराचार्य मध्यमाम्
शंकराचार्य मध्यमाम्
अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्ताम्
अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्ताम्
वन्दे गुरु परंपराम्।
वन्दे गुरु परम्पराम्।
वसुदेव सुतं देवम्
वसुदेव सुतं देवम्
कंस चाणूरमर्दनम्
कंस चाणूरमर्दनम्
देवकी परमानन्दम्
देवकी परमानन्दम्
कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्।
कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्।
श्रेयो हि ज्ञानम् अभ्यासात्
श्रेयो हि ज्ञानाभ्यासात्
ज्ञानात् ध्यानं विशिष्यते।
ज्ञानात् ध्यानं विशिष्यते।
ध्यानात् कर्मफलत्यागः
ध्यानात् कर्मफलत्यागः
त्यागात् शान्ति अनन्तरम्।
त्यागः शान्ति अनन्तरम्।
This is the 12th shloka of 12th chapter, where the entire teaching is kind of summarized. And if you see, when we are moving from first chapter to now 8th chapter, we see that this shlok, if you analyze the shlok in when you are sitting alone, just think that how the whole thing is progressing, and we should be progressing the same way what Bhagwan has said in the 12th shlok of 12th chapter. And now Arjun's prarthana, which is our prarthana, for Bhagwan to give us prasad of Gyan, right? So Arjun, again, the same Arjun's question, we have the same question. We have some delusion. We have some emotional weaknesses where we are making the prarthana, right? Karpanya, this is 7th shloka of 2nd chapter. Karpanya dosho upahat swabhavah
कार्पण्यदोषो उपहत स्वभावः
पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेताः
पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेता
यत् श्रेयस्यात् निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे।
यच्छ्रेयः स्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे।
शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम्।
शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधि मां त्वां प्रपन्नम्।
So Arjuna is saying, Bhagavan, because of karpanya dosh, because of the weakness of the basically the weakness of wisdom here, that's what he's saying, or lack of wisdom, I'm confused. Dharma sammudha cheta. So I'm not sure what should be the choice I should make. And that's why he says, Prachami Tvam, please tell me, Nitshreyasya Nishchitam Bruhitan, which is best for me, Shreyas. And Shishyastiham Shadimam Tvam. I'm your Shish, I surrender to you. And then the teaching flows. So that's a wonderful way of starting the teaching, like the learning process, what we are doing. Swadhyaya. So now we finished 7th chapter last week. We'll just recap last shlok, and then there is no chapter when Bhagwan is talking to Arjun, but it's good. And there is a reason I think our acharyas have done that. We'll talk about that. So let's repeat last shlok of 7th chapter, and then one shlok, which is at the end of every chapter. We'll read that. And there is a reason for that. We'll see why our acharyas have included that. And then we'll get into the 8th chapter. So last shlok of the 7th chapter, 30th shlok. Sadibhutadidevam mam
साधिभूताधिदैवं मां
sadhiyagyam chaye viduh
साधियज्ञं च ये विदुः
prayanakale apicha
प्रयाणकाले अपि च
mam te viduryukta chetasah.
माम ते विदुर्युक्त चेतसः। और जो पुरुष अधिभूत और अधिदैव के सहित तथा अधियज्ञ के सहित सबका आत्मरूप मेरे को जानते हैं, वे युक्त चित्त वाले पुरुष अंतकाल में भी मुझको ही जानते हैं, अर्थात प्राप्त होते हैं। और उसमें टिप्पणी लिखी है, अधिभूत, अधिदैव और अधियज्ञ के सहित उसकी टिप्पणी है। अर्थात जैसे भाप, बादल, धूम, पानी और बर्फ यह सभी जल स्वरूप हैं, वैसे ही अधिभूत, अधिदैव और अधियज्ञ आदि सब कुछ वासुदेव स्वरूप हैं, ऐसे जो जानते हैं।
Those who know me with Adi Bhuta above the elements, Adi Deva above the gods, and Adi Yagna above sacrifice, even at the time of death, they, steadfast in mind, know me.
Right. So now this 7th chapter is concluding, and Bhagwan is telling that if we go back, in the 6th chapter, Arjun asked a question that Manahi Chanchal Krishna, that was, he said, how do you control, right? And that's where Bhagwan started explaining him the process, and he brought him to this topic. Okay, now, so why? Because, and as I said, that 2nd and 3rd chapter are the foundation. They're the foundation. Once we are done, everything is based on that. So we'll see how, what he brings some topics which are already talked about in the 2nd chapter. Because 2nd chapter was all about Atma and what happens at the end. We'll see that shlok also. That's the same thing he is repeating here. But he has already provided that thought process. So Bhagwan is a good teacher. Probably he's bringing those same concept teaching again in a different way so that it sinks. And that's the reason probably the last shlok of, there is a shlok inserted at the end of each chapter. We'll read that. And probably our gurus, acharyas realize, and it happens like, and like, for example, those who work in computer, I work in computers. So all our data, like we feed, like Walmart is doing a lot of inventory, and we have personal data also, like you go to bank and do that. So what happens, there is a concept in when we store data in the database, everything is stored in the database, even our computer also, all our files are kind of a file, but it's a database. So there is a concept in computer that at certain point, they call it sync point. And what they do at the sync point, for assume, like you have Amazon, their system is on 24 hours. So they'll say from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., all the transactions, there is a sync point, will be saved in a log separately. In case system fails, you have the log to recover. Same thing, we take a backup, right? We in our phone also, we create a backup on the cloud. And every night, phone see that a new contacts added into the cloud. And even if you lose the phone, go to Sprint, buy another phone, you have everything backed up. Because that's called syncing and storing somewhere else. And that's what I think our acharya said, take a break. Because अगर हम पूरा पढ़ते चले जाएंगे तो पिछला भूलते चले जाएंगे. So take a break. And that's what हमारे यहाँ श्रवणम मननम निधिध्यासनम. Every day, whatever we read, we listen, we should just take some time out. Dhyan is not this, log kai baar bolte hain, that is not dhyan, right? Nididhyasana means reliving the teaching in the mind, whatever we heard, and then during the day we experience also. Just for example, Krodh is not good. Oh, that's a good teaching, like early morning, Krodh is not, wow, wonderful. Now I should say at the end of the day that ki din mein kya hua aaj? Krodh is not just anger, agitation, complaint, anything I don't like. Vedanta is a krodh. I mean, you are agitated. So now let's analyze at the evening. Oh, yeah, that teaching is correct, but I'm not yet there. And that is sadhana. So that's why we need to give a pause and let this teaching sink, like sync point in database. I gave the example. Write the database in the log in case it is required, you can recover. So same thing, we'll read the shlok every chapter. It is at the end of every chapter. I think every book has that, right? Om Tat Sat Iti.
Om Tat Sat Iti.
Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su.
Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su.
Upanishatsu.
Upanishatsu.
Brahma Vidyayam.
Brahma Vidyayam.
Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade. Sorry, Yoga Shastre.
Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna
Arjuna Samvade. Jnana Vijnana Yogo Nam Saptamo Adhyayah.
Jnana Vijnana Yogo Nam Saptamo Adhyayah. Hari Om Tat Sat.
So our acharyas are smart. They say, okay, call it 7th chapter. I mean, they're giving a pause. I mean, Krishna ne Bhagwan ne bola ye. So what 7th chapter finished. So now we should take a break and think kya ho gaya 7th chapter mein, right? And what is why Bhagwan is saying everything in Bhagavad Gita is Yoga Shastra and Brahma Vidya. That's it. So 7th chapter, let's very quickly recap. There are 3 things main in 7th chapter. Bhagwan said in the beginning, there are 2 nature of me. Like Bhagwan ka swabhav, nature means the form. Apara and para. Apara means nature. For example, simple is that all the elemental world we see around us, including 5 elements, earth, water, this is all apara. That is also Bhagwan. It's not that ये जो प्रकृति कुछ और है, वो भी सब भगवान है. And para means which higher nature. And we saw with para higher nature means भगवान का जो स्वरूप है, ब्रह्म स्वरूप है. That's what Bhagwan is talking about. Brahma, Adhyatma, Karma, all those things. So higher nature, which is we can say in simple terms, Brahman or Satya or Satchidanand. That is para. So the knowing the apara is Gyan, and knowing the para, basically experiencing the para. If I say that Bhagwan is truth, I should experience the truth. Bhagwan is Anand, I should experience the Anand. Then it becomes para vidya or para, Bhagwan's para nature I know. Yeah, I can know that what is Anand, but do I realize Anand? Do I have Anand sometime? And that is Bhagwan. So that's what chapter is called Jnana Vigyan. Knowing Bhagwan's apara, lower nature, para, higher nature. Simple as that. Then Bhagwan talked, there are very like highlighted, I'll say that the content is that there are types of Bhakta, Bhagwan says. And Bhagwan says Artha, Artharthi, Jigyasu and Jnani. So Artha, Artharthi, Jigyasu means who are just requesting and asking for something. So Bhagwan says Jnani is the one, and that's our goal here in Bhagavad Gita also. I mean, these are stages. We have to graduate to, and we talked about that. We have to graduate from Artha, Artharthi, Jigyasu to Jnani. Because in one of the Shlok, Bhagwan says, I hold Jnani as myself. Jnani tu Atma eva me matam. Jnani is like me. And that's what the Mahavakya says, Tattvam Asi. That's the ultimate teaching, right? That equation, and we talked about that equation in the beginning. That equation is to be resolved by ourselves. Equation is simple. Tat equal to Tvam. And that equal to is Asi. Asi means happening, being, right? So once that equation is solved, yes, Tat means you, Tvam means you, Tat means Bhagwan. We are same. It's equal, right? And that's what Bhagwan says, Jnani tu Atma ev me. Jnani is myself. So that's our goal, to become a Jnani Bhakt. And the last shlok which we saw, Bhagwan has brought a very important topic here, that we all have, being a human being, fear of decay and death. Decay means old age, or we can say like sickness, whatever way, but we all have that fear, and that we are going to be, the body is going to decay, and there is a death going to be. So there is a fear, and Bhagwan is going to give the remedy. That's what he talked last time also, because he says, "Jo mere ko jante hain tattva se." ऐसे युक्त चित्त वाले, युक्त चित्त means disciplined mind, which disciplined mind is not just a yogi in the sense, Gita sense yogi. And if we recollect the 2nd chapter, there is a person, a model Bhagwan has given, and that's the goal of all the teaching, Sthit Pragya. And Sthit Pragya means the wisdom which is originated from the teaching, comprehension of the teaching created, that's wisdom. And that is Sthit, that is available all the time. And I always give that example, many times we give the example of cash and credit card. Credit card is not a guarantee of the money or the value. Cash is a guarantee. If you go to cash, any shop, because if somebody refuses, it's a crime. They cannot. Credit card is no guarantee. Even check is not a guarantee. So you give a check, somebody says, oh, well, I don't want check. Right? Cash, nobody can refuse. So Sthit Pragya means this knowledge is always available to me. If some situation encounters unfavorable situations or some obstacle in my way, how do I react? Do I react with the samata? Samata means equanimity of that mind process or the knowledge, or that is I am sthit prajna. So that we have to keep always in mind, that sthit prajna. So भगवान से युक्त चित, भगवान ने जहां जहां भी वर्ड यूज किया है गीता में, युक्त चेतस और ज्ञानी, he is telling us to go and revisit the sthit prajna. मैं तो रोज पढ़ता हूँ. I mean, lot of people read. Gandhi ji used to read those 18 shlok every day, twice, and many people read that. I read those. Those are the best teaching in the world, I could say. Right? So Bhagwan says revisit that, because whenever I use words yukta chetasaha or vidu, all this he is referring to sthit prajna. And there is a whole lakshan sthit prajna ke 20-25 दिखाया वहां पर है. So that is our goal. So that's what Bhagwan is saying. अंत काल में ऐसा जो स्थित प्रज्ञ है, उसको अंत काल में मैं याद आ जाऊंगा. Yeah, because this wisdom is established, right? I don't get disturbed. I mean, of course, we're a human being. We cannot say, but yes, recovery is very fast. As I said, in database terms also, there is we call it recovery point objective and recovery time objective. If anytime, if you see sometime PNC will send a message that, oh, last night there was a problem, so our site was down for 2 hours, but you have not lost any of your data. They call it recovery point objective. They'll recover the system crashes from exactly the same point where you left. ऐसा नहीं कि हमने पैसे डिपॉजिट किए गायब हो गए. No, it will never happen in bank, because they have multiple systems running and they'll recover. So similarly, hamari recovery, like in our mind also, knowledge should be available. Oh, I might find it in a situation and I said, like, example, oh, my house got a fire. What? Then we recollect, oh, house is apara prakriti. So what? Oh, there's the purpose of this chapter, right? Apara prakriti. Makan mein aag lag gaya. I know I should feel that, but not is not going to the knowledge will say, okay, fine, we find a solution. So what? And then so what? So that is recovery. And that is what Bhagwan is saying. Antakal mein. So Antakal mein, death is like the worst thing happened, but Antakal mein, it's fine. The body is going, I'm not going anywhere. That's the second chapter. नित्य स्तर सर्वगत स्थाणुर अचलो अयम, जो कहीं नहीं जाता है. स्थाणुर में doesn't move at all. जैसे माउंटेन को हम लोग स्थाणु वर्ड बोलते हैं संस्कृत. So yeah, Atma doesn't move at all. Atma is always there. The body goes like, and then that Antakal mein yaad aa gaya vidu. Vidu means that knowledge, and then you're done. So that's what the 7th chapter like end Bhagwan, and then he'll continue in the 8th chapter with that teaching. So we'll start, and then just before that, let me very quickly share that screen just to remind, right? All of us, and then. Okay, so here you can see my screen, right? So this is what at the end of the chapter Bhagwan says, that Yog Shastre Brahma Vidyayam. So Brahma Vidya means it says you are complete. That's Brahma Vidya, nothing else. We are all complete by nature. We are born complete. We should go, like that's what was the end of life. We should go complete. But our problem is that we think I'm not complete. That's avidya. The moment you realize I'm complete, that's Brahma Vidya. That's it, nothing else. But how do you reach there? There is a way to reach there. That is called Yog Shastra. Shastra means an order, a sequence or teaching. And Yog means a process. So the Bhagavad Gita is a Yog Shastra, which tells you how to realize that you are complete. Tattvamasi. You are that. So that's what end of each chapter, this is what, and we created a logo, so it's easy to remind every time that this is what Bhagavad Gita is, nothing else, right? So I'll stop here. Okay, so now we'll go to the 8th chapter. Okay. अथ अष्टमो अध्यायः.
अथ अष्टमोऽध्यायः.
अर्जुन उवाच.
अर्जुन उवाच.
किं तद् ब्रह्म किम् अध्यात्मम्.
किं तद् ब्रह्म किम् अध्यात्मम्.
किं कर्म पुरुषोत्तमम्.
किमं कर्म पुरुषोत्तमम्.
अधिभूतं च किं प्रोक्तम्.
अधिभूतं च किं प्रोक्तम्.
अधिदैवं किमुच्यते.
अधिदैवम किमुच्यते। इस प्रकार भगवान।
No, we'll read the next one also, then we'll.
ओके।
अधियज्ञः कथं कोऽत्र
अधियज्ञः कथं कोऽत्र
देहे अस्मिन् मधुसूदन
देहे अस्मिन् मधुसूदन
प्रयाणकाले च कथं
प्रयाणकाले च कथं
ज्ञेयो असि नियतात्मभिः
गेयो असि नियतात्मभिः। अर्जुन वाच। इस प्रकार भगवान के वचनों को न समझकर अर्जुन बोला, हे पुरुषोत्तम, जिसका आपने वर्णन किया है वह ब्रह्म क्या है और अध्यात्म क्या है तथा कर्म क्या है और अधिभूत नाम से क्या कहा गया है तथा अधिदैव नाम से क्या कहा जाता है। और हे मधुसूदन, यहाँ अधियज्ञ कौन है और वह इस शरीर में कैसे है और युक्त चित्त वाले पुरुषों द्वारा अंत समय में आप किस प्रकार जानने में आते हो। वेरी गुड।
Arjuna said, what is that Brahman? What is Adhyatma? What is Karm, O Purushottama? What is called Adi Bhuta and what is termed as Adi Dev? Who and how is Adi Yagna here in this body, O Madhusudan? And how are you to be known at the time of death by the self-controlled?
Right. So Arjun is repeating what was said at the end of the second chapter. Bhagwan said, he is asking like, can you clarify what you said? And then, so 6 questions, very technical terms. Let's not get into too much. You can read, there are a lot of commentaries about those technical terms, but we don't want to spend too much time on those technical. Let's make it simple for ourselves. And the last question is 7th is that, how do I know you said that last moment pe to Bhagwan ka naam yaad aana chahiye, but how? And this entire chapter will be that, right? कि कैसे नाम याद आएगा भगवान का आखिरी में, राइट? इतना भयंकर संसार इतने जीवन में हमने इकट्ठा कर रखा है, कितना इतना आसान है सोचना, लेकिन कितना कठिन होगा। इसके लिए भगवान ने 28 श्लोक में कोशिश करी समझाने की, भाई ऐसा करोगे तो शायद याद आ जाएगा। बट दैट्स अ गुड टीचिंग। सो भगवान, अर्जुन has asked this question. So Bhagwan, so the same thing is repeated. So we'll
90% of the people have this question.
Yeah.
So जो अर्जुन के सवाल पूछा है ये हम सबके लिए पूछा है।
देखिए बात सही कह रहे पंकज भाई, वेदर पीपुल आस्क और नॉट, बट दैट इज देयर इज अ डिजायर इन माइंड कि कुछ ना कुछ ऐसा हो कि आराम से जाऊं। सो द सॉल्यूशन अवर आचार्य, अवर ऋषिज हैव गिवन दैट कि सबसे आराम का नाम भगवान का नाम है। यू वांट टू गो पीसफुली, बट द बेस्ट इज इफ यू हैव भगवान्स नेम, एंड वील टॉक अबाउट दैट। भगवान का नाम बड़ा अच्छा चैप्टर है, सम देयर आर वेरी, सो दैट इफ यू कैन अचीव देन यू आर शांति से जाओगे फिर तो। So that's, so now we'll read Shlok 3. 1 और 2 में कुछ ज्यादा है नहीं, is a repetition Arjun's question कि वो पिछले चैप्टर में जो बताए थे, but lot of technical, you can read some commentaries, but let's go to Shlok 3. श्री भगवान उवाच
श्री भगवान उवाच
अक्षरं ब्रह्म परम
अक्षरं ब्रह्म परमं
स्वभावो अध्यात्म उच्यते
स्वभावो अध्यात्ममुच्यते
भूत भावोद्भव
करो
विसर्गः कर्म
संगितः। इस प्रकार अर्जुन के प्रश्न करने पर श्री कृष्ण भगवान बोले, हे अर्जुन, परम अक्षर अर्थात जिसका कभी नाश नहीं हो ऐसा सच्चिदानंद घन परमात्मा तो ब्रह्म है, और अपना स्वरूप अर्थात जीवात्मा अध्यात्म नाम से कहा जाता है, तथा भूतों के भाव को उत्पन्न करने वाला शास्त्र विहित यज्ञ, ध्यान और होम आदि के निमित्त जो द्रव्यादिकों का त्याग है वह कर्म नाम से कहा गया है। ब्यूटीफुल, वेरी नाइस। सॉरी।
Bhagwan said, Brahman is the imperishable, the supreme. His own being is called Adhyatma. The creative force that causes the birth of beings is called Karma.
Yeah. So there, I mean, there are a lot of technical commentary around these things, but very simple terms, whatever we read, all these teaching, there are 3 things. There is a Jeev, which we, there is a Jagat, which is the world, the Bhoot means the physical world, and there is Jagadish, which is Bhagwan. That's it. कोई भी teaching है घूम फिर के इसके अलावा कुछ है ही नहीं। जीव मैं हूँ, मेरे बीच में संसार है और भगवान है, हम दोनों के बीच. That's it. And that's what he is saying. So Aksharam Brahma, Brahma means, Akshara means which decay. And then we know Brahma is imperishable. That's the title of this chapter, Akshar Brahma Yoga. Some people call this chapter Akshar Brahma Yoga because which is imperishable Brahman. So Brahman is imperishable. By definition, the word is ever expanding. Ever expanding. So which is, that's why हमारे सनातन धर्म को लोग सनातन बोलते हैं. Means सनातन means which is ever eternal. There is no beginning and no end. Same. So जैसे for example सत्य भगवान का नाम हमने दिया है. Because सत्य has no beginning, no end. Satya is always सत्य, true, all periods of time. So Bhagwan is saying that is Brahma, which is imperishable, which is no beginning end, that is Bhagwan. It's very simple. I mean, वैसे ब्रह्म की परिभाषा में जाए तो डिटेल, लेकिन अदरवाइज वेरी सिंपल है कि जो हमेशा है वो भगवान है. That's what Bhagwan is saying. Second is saying Adhyatma. Adhyatma means, in simple terms, स्वभाव. And स्वभाव means स्वभाव, मेरा nature, स्वभाव. So Adhyatma means it's about me. So there is Bhagwan, which is Brahma, Adhyatma, which is about me, and karma. So here it is, Bhagwan is not talking about individual karma. We can say it is the creation of this universe, Bhagwan ka karma. So what is Bhagwan's karma? Like that, the word visarg we use, visarg means the whole, the creation. So that is karma. The process of everything is karma. So Bhagwan, and that if you, and that is this is at the macro level. Bhagwan is talking about the Brahma, and then Adhyatma is Jeev, and the karma is a creation. But at micro level, same thing applies too. मैं जब आता हूँ तो मेरे घर में गणेश जी हैं या ये गणेश जी हैं, वो मेरे हैं, ठीक है. फिर मैं खुद हूँ जो पूजा कर रहा हूँ, और मेरा अपना कर्म है. Same thing like applies to. So macro level and micro level, same principle. And that's what Bhagwan in this shlok. It's very बाकी so बहुत सारी commentary you can read, but for simple term is like that. Bhagwan, Bhakt और संसार. That's it Bhagwan is saying. So next shlok में he'll continue with 3 more terms, right? अधिभूतं क्षरो भावः
अधिभूतम क्षरो भावः
पुरुषश्चादिदेवतं
पुरुषश्चाधिदैवतम्
अधियज्ञो अहमेवात्र
अधियज्ञो अहमेवात्र
देहे देहभृतांबर.
देहे देहभृतां वर. तथा उत्पत्ति विनाश धर्म वाले सब पदार्थ अधिभूत है. उत्पत्ति विनाश धर्म वाले सब पदार्थ अधिभूत हैं, और हिरण्यमय पुरुष अधिदैव है. और हे देहधारियों में श्रेष्ठ अर्जुन, इस शरीर में मैं वासुदेव ही विष्णु रूप से अधियज्ञ हूं. और हिरण्यमय पुरुष की टिप्पणी में लिखा है, जिसको शास्त्रों में सूत्रात्मा, हिरण्यगर्भ, प्रजापति, ब्रह्मा इत्यादि नामों से कहा गया है.
Adi Bhutam is the perishable nature, and Adi Devatam is the indweller. I alone am the Adi Yagna here in the body, O best of the embodied.
Okay. Now very simple. Again, there are a lot of commentaries on this, lot of technical discussion, but very simple. Adi Bhut means Bhut means material world, which is perishable, and we all know that nothing in this world, including our body, is imperishable. Everything is perishable. So yeah, this is Adi Bhut. बहुत लंबी commentary भी है, but this is Adi Bhut, right? Adi शब्द, Adi is a prefix, उपसर्ग. Adi means completely. Actually यहाँ भूत ही है. भूत means physical world, but Adi use कर लिया, maybe because of some technical reason they use, जो grammar experts होंगे, शंकराचार्य और जो भी हमारे व्यास जी होंगे, but our intent is material world is क्षरम. क्षरम means which decays. इसका नाश होता है वो क्षरम. So that's simple. भगवान से कि that is अधिभूत. अर्जुन ने पूछा अधिभूत. Then he say अधिदेव. देव means we can simple say divine powers. For example, इंद्र को हमने देवता माना है, वो बारिश कुछ करते हैं, इंद्र होते हैं. वरुण देवता है जो जल का ध्यान रखते हैं. अग्नि देवता है which अग्नि creates the energy charge. सूर्य देवता है. All these devatas, that's why the word is dev. They are in हमारे एक आचार्य जी बहुत अच्छा समझाते हैं, उन्होंने उनका एग्जाम्पल दिया था कि दे आर लाइक फिंगर्स ऑफ भगवान. जैसे हमारी फिंगर्स होती हैं, these are माय फिंगर्स, राइट? and I can use these fingers. They are fingers. They are doing their work, but they are my fingers. They work for me, but they work in harmony. ऐसा नहीं होता है कि ये फिंगर इधर चली जाए इधर चली जाए. मैं किसी चीज को ग्रैब करना चाहता हूँ तो दे ऑल कम इन हार्मनी. सो एग्जैक्टली ये जो इंद्र हैं और वायु हैं और पवन देवता हैं, ये सब दे आर देवता. दे आर भगवान रिफ्लेक्शन एंड दे वर्क लाइक फिंगर्स ऑफ भगवान. दे आर इन हार्मनी. ऐसा कभी नहीं होगा कि अग्नि को जलाना है तो अग्नि जलाएगी ही, और पानी को ठंडा करना है पानी ठंडा ही करेगा. ऐसा कभी नहीं होगा कि पानी बोला मैं आग बन जाऊं. तो कबीरदास जी की उलट बासी करके एक चीज है. उलट बासी मीन्स ही यूज्ड टू मेक सरकाजम ऑफ द सोसाइटी. तो वो कहते हैं कि पानी में आग लग गई. ऐसा उनके कबीर के दो हैं. इसका मतलब वही उल्टा काम कर रहे हो आप. कोई पानी में आग कैसे लग सकती है? दैट इज सो दैट्स व्हाट ही भगवान इज सेइंग. ये जो देव हैं दे वर्क इन हार्मनी एंड दैट इज द होल संसार इज वर्किंग. हम गड़बड़ करते हैं. वी विल स्पॉइल द एटमॉस्फेयर, वी विल स्पॉइल द, हम खुद ही मरेंगे, ऑक्सीजन कम करेंगे. लेकिन ऑक्सीजन कभी नहीं बोलेगी हाइड्रोजन ऑक्सीजन अपने आप कुछ झगड़ा करें. वी डू दैट. नेचर विल वर्क एज इट इज. फॉल आएगा तो फॉल आएगा, स्प्रिंग आएगा तो स्प्रिंग आएगा. एंड वी कॉल इट ऋतु. ऋतु मीन्स अगेन सेम द प्रिंसिपल विच इज ट्रू, एंड दैट इज अधिदेव. एंड देन लास्ट भगवान सेज अधियज्ञ. अधियज्ञ सिंपल इज, पहले भी एक श्लोक आया है 2nd चैप्टर में, 4th चैप्टर में, कि ब्रह्म यज्ञ नित्यम प्रतिष्ठितम. यज्ञ में ब्रह्म प्रतिष्ठित है. यज्ञ इज ब्रह्म. एंड यज्ञ मीन्स नॉट ओनली अग्निहोत्र जो हम करते हैं, दैट इज अ सिंबॉलिक, बट एंटायर लाइफ इज अ यज्ञ. सो भगवान कह रहे हैं कि ये जो सब चल रहा है तुम्हारे अंदर बाहर, इसमें सब में मैं आई एम एस्टैब्लिश, एंड दैट इज द रीजन आई एम अधियज्ञ. बिकॉज दैट इज, एंड इन द बिगिनिंग ऑल्सो ही सेड कर्म भगवान का. सो अधियज्ञ मीन्स सब में मैं मौजूद हूँ, सिंपल इन टर्म. सो एंड पहले एक श्लोक भी आया था, वासुदेव सर्वम इति. एवरीथिंग इज वासुदेव, भगवान. That's it. So at the simple, you can read, there are a lot of commentaries, very detailed, but for our purpose it is. Now we'll go to important shlok 5, 6, 7. Those are for us. So now let's go to the 5th shlok, where Bhagwan is going to start answering Arjun's question at the time of death, how I'll remember Bhagwan, right? Arjun's question was that how should the self-disciplined person will remember you at the time of death? So that's what Bhagwan is going to answer. 5th shlok, right? Antakale cha mamev
अंतकाले च मामेव
स्मरन् मुक्त्वा कलेवरम्
स्मरन् मुक्त्वा कलेवरम्
यः प्रयाति समद्भावम्
यः प्रयाति मद्भावम्
याति नास्तत्र संशयः.
याति नास्त्यत्र संशयः. और जो पुरुष अंतकाल में मेरे को ही स्मरण करता हुआ शरीर को त्याग कर जाता है, वह मेरे साक्षात स्वरूप को प्राप्त होता है. इसमें कुछ भी संशय नहीं है.
And he who, casting off the body, goes forth thinking of me alone at the time of death, he attains my being. There is no doubt about this.
So this is a repetition of 30th shlok. Same thing. Bhagwan ne boli. But before answering, before giving the process, next 20-25 श्लोक में प्रोसेस बताएंगे. उन्होंने रिपीट कर दिया है कि आई एम जस्ट एक अश्योरेंस कि लास्ट में याद करके जाओगे तो आनंद से जाओगे, और आगे क्या होगा बताएंगे, राइट? सो देन 6th श्लोक, राइट? यम यम वापि स्मरन् भावम्
यम यम वापि स्मरन् भावम्
त्यजयन्ते कलेवरम्
त्यजत्यन्ते कलेवरम्
तमेवैति कौन्तेय
तमेवैति कौन्तेय
सदा तद्भाव भावितः.
सदा सद्भाव भावित. कारण कि हे कुंती पुत्र अर्जुन, यह मनुष्य अंतकाल में जिस भी भाव को स्मरण करता हुआ शरीर को त्यागता है, उसको ही प्राप्त होता है, परंतु सदा उस ही भाव को चिंतन करता हुआ, क्योंकि सदा जिस भाव का चिंतन करता है अंतकाल में भी प्रायः उसी का स्मरण होता है.
Of whatever being one thinks at the end while leaving the body, to that alone one goes, O Kaunteya, because of constantly thinking of that being.
देखिए ये जो श्लोक है, ये हम में से कोई भी कंफर्म नहीं कर सकता, क्योंकि हम जाने के बाद तो ये आएंगे कि ये श्लोक ठीक था, राइट? ओनली थिंग वी कैन ऑब्जर्व. And I said one time I read a survey by nurses, what palliative care nurses, and their like statements were there. And the survey was that what typically the last moment people do. And the survey result was that most of the time people were remembering the past events or past some things, right? The objects they so past event means वो जो सबसे ज्यादा ये किया होगा वो याद आएगा, because before leaving there'll be few moments, right? You cannot have like 10 hours before leaving. It will be just last few moments, right? शिवपाल जी तो देखते ही होंगे, अभी उसमें कितना 10 सेकंड है, तो उसमें क्या याद आएगा? जो सबसे ज्यादा, भगवान कह रहे हैं कि जो सबसे ज्यादा आपने काम किया वो याद आए। अगर आपने सबसे ज्यादा बिजनेस पे ध्यान दिया होगा, आपने ज्यादा लड़ाई झगड़े पे ध्यान दिया होगा, तो वो याद आएगा। सो दैट्स व्हाट भगवान इज गिविंग अ वार्निंग, इज गिविंग जिसे ना लाइक बी केयरफुल, आई एम योर टीचर। अर्जुन ने पूछा है कि इसलिए भगवान अर्जुन को, वन ऑफ द रीजन इज बिकॉज ही इज इन द वॉर फील्ड, एंड वी आर ऑल इन द वॉर फील्ड इन सम सेंस, एंड वी आर गोइंग टू एनकाउंटर दिस। अभी भीष्म भी मरेंगे, अभिमन्यु भी मरेगा, सब होने वाला है अभी। तो भगवान से कि और अर्जुन को भी कभी व्हाट गारंटी अर्जुन विल सर्वाइव इन दिस वॉर? देयर इज नो गारंटी एट दिस पॉइंट। भगवान इज सेइंग कि बी केयरफुल, जिसको पूरे टाइम याद रहेगा, जिसको कॉन्स्टेंटली याद किया होगा वो याद आएगा। तो भगवान इसे स्मरण इस करता हुआ कलेवरम शरीर उसको ही प्राप्त होगा। एंड विल जस्ट टेक अ मोमेंट वेरी क्विकली। Mahabharat, at the Mahabharat war, we all know that Bhishma Pitama had that boon to leave the body whenever he wants. So he was on the bed of arrows, right? And it's a famous incident that he was, and he decided I'll leave in Sankranti time. But when before he was leaving, he said, "Can you Duryodhana, can you call Vasudeva, Krishna, I Krishna, Shri Krishna?" और भीष्म पितामह बोला कि आप, he was on the sarshaya. It is very beautiful scene in Mahabharata. मुझे बहुत, I mean, when I see that, I just my hair raise on their ends, right? So he said, भगवान यहीं खड़े रहो. And there is a shlok, भगवताम प्रत्यक्षताम यावद कलेवरम हनोमि हम. He says कि भगवान यहीं प्रतीक्षा करो, सामने मेरे खड़े हुए, right? He is lying on the bed, भगवान is standing. यावद कलेवरम, कलेवरम is body, Sanskrit. यावद with this body, हनोमि हम, I leave this body. Please stand here. And then it is that Bhagwan khade hue and we slowly see, that is the power of that. That's a Shraddha. That is what the entire life. So Bhishma did all his life big things. Like he was a great warrior and war. But this shows that constantly he had that Vasudeva in his mind. That's why he was able to say कि यहाँ खड़े रहो, मैं जा रहा हूँ. That is the power. That's what Bhagwan is saying. कि जो, तो the message here is, next श्लोक में आएगा वो message. Yeah, next श्लोक we'll read that, right? युद्ध वाला क्या देते हैं. So next श्लोक में भगवान says कि what? तस्मा is a 7th श्लोक. तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु
तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु
मामनुस्मर युद्ध च
मामनुस्मर युध्य च
मय्यर्पित मनो बुद्धिः
मय्यर्पित मनोबुद्धिः
मामे वैश्यस्य संशयम्.
मामे वैश्यस्य संशयम्. इसलिए हे अर्जुन, तू सब समय में निरंतर मेरा स्मरण कर और युद्ध भी कर. इस प्रकार मेरे में अर्पण किए हुए मन बुद्धि से युक्त हुआ, यह संदेह मेरे को ही प्राप्त होगा.
Therefore, at all times remember me and fight. With mind and intellect absorbed in me, you shall without doubt come to me alone.
Yeah, because Bhagwan says constantly what you will remember in the life, that thing will come at the end. And this is very simple. I mean, there's no science in that, right? Or I know people who are in medicine, they see all the time. My brother is doctor, I talk to him, and I had talked to a lot of doctors, and it is true, right? And I remember my own father when he was almost about to go to ventilator because he had pneumonia, and he also knew that. And I talked to him 1 month before. Then I went to India again. My brother called, "Aa jao, it is time." So when we talked to the hospital people, the nurses and everything, they said कि last moment पे मेहता साहब ने जब बोलना बंद किया, तो उनका जो last जो दोहा था कबीर का कि that's what he was following Kabir also, right? देह धरे को दंड है सब काहे को होए, ज्ञानी भुगते ज्ञान से मूर्ख भुगते रोए। ये जो देह मिली है तो दंड ही है। आई मीन जो देह मिली है ये पनिशमेंट है, क्योंकि देह में इतनी झंझट है। सब काहे को है, कबीरदास जी कहते हैं क्यों हो रहा है, सब अपने आप हो रहा है। ज्ञानी भुगते ज्ञान से, ज्ञानी को समझ में आता है जो भगवान ने कहा था विदुह एंड में, मूर्ख भुगते रोए। मूर्ख है जो रोता है, ज्ञानी को पता है कि तो होना ही था। देह धरी है, देह के चक्कर हैं, ये प्रारब्ध हैं, ये बच्चे होंगे, ये होगा वो होगा, सब कोई पहले जाएगा कोई बाद में जाएगा। दैट वाज पीपल से इन द हॉस्पिटल दैट दैट्स व्हाट ही सेड लास्ट, एंड देन ही वेंट टू वेंटिलेटर एंड लेफ्ट। आई दैट इज व्हाट, आखिरी में उनको याद आ गया जो सारी जिंदगी पड़ा था। ही रियलाइज कि अभी तो जाना है, हो गया, अभी क्या इसमें रोना है। See, that's what Bhagwan is saying. It's not easy. So Bhagwan is saying here, Tasma, therefore Arjun, Sarveshu Kaleshu. Now he is giving the solution. We'll continue. The entire chapter is some solution. But these 2-3 shlok are very powerful. Rest of it is repetition. Because 7 and 8 we'll spend more time. We'll spend few minutes, and next week we'll spend on 8. So Bhagwan is saying now solution, very powerful solution. Tasmat, therefore, Sarveshu Kaleshu. Sarveshu means all the time. Kaleshu means time. So all the time, Mam Anusmara, मेरा स्मरण करते रहे. All the time. Now the question again, a lot of people ask, and या भगवान का काम नाम लेंगे कि अपना काम करेंगे? तो that's what our आचार्य says कि राम और काम दोनों साथ चल सकते हैं. It is only the practice, just the practice. राम और काम. अब कबीरदास जी के बारे में बहुत सारे संत हुए हैं, बट सबके बारे में फेमस ही है कि वो सारे काम करते थे लेकिन भगवान को याद करते रहते थे. सो भगवान सेज कि और युद्ध भी कर. अर्जुन के लिए युद्ध कह रहे हैं, बट फॉर अस इट इज द ड्यूटी, प्रिस्क्राइब ड्यूटी, वॉट एवर यू हैव, यू कंटिन्यू टू डू दैट, बट कॉन्स्टेंटली कीप मी इन माइंड. लाइक भीष्म, अगर भीष्म ने कॉन्स्टेंटली, इफ ही डिडंट हैव वासुदेव, लास्ट मोमेंट में कैसे बोलते हैं कि भगवान प्रत्यक्षताम यावत कलेवरम हनोमि, हम खड़े रहो यहाँ जब तक मैं देह नहीं त्यागूं. क्या आदेश है, भगवान को आदेश दे रहा भक्त की खड़े रहो आप. दैट पावर, and that's what Bhagwan says. But that will happen. Then he says, Maya arpit mano buddhi. Surrender me. So there are two things in our psyche, man and buddhi. It's a very technical. अभी लास्ट वीक ही हम लोग प्रोग्राम में थे, तो हमारे कार्डियोलॉजिस्ट मित्र हैं, वो भी थे. तो 2-3 लोग बात कर रहे थे, उन्होंने मजाक में पूछा, अरे आइए आइए, ये बताइए, आप तो दिल के डॉक्टर हैं, ये दिल होता कहाँ है? He was speechless. There's no answer, right? फिर दिल कहाँ होता है? डॉक्टर भी तो सर दिल, there is no दिल, right? There is no दिल. तो उन्होंने कहा ये बताइए दिमाग और दिल कहाँ है? There is no answer. डॉक्टर्स भी नहीं दे सकते आंसर. यहाँ भगवान ने कहा मनोबुद्धि. Yeah, there are हमारे, I tell you, there is no better explanation of the human psyche better than Vedant, especially. Vedant में all Vedant, but Bhagavad Gita. मन, बुद्धि, चित्त, अहंकार. That is called अंतःकरण, internal instrument. But there are no 4 things. It is just one thing. एक ही चीज है हमारे यहाँ, 4 है नहीं, लेकिन what a division they have given. So man is emotional part, buddhi is intellectual part, and that even neuroscience or medical science accept, like there is emotion, and we say oh left brain, right brain, front brain, back brain. We are वो सब बना दिया हमने brain, लेकिन उनको भी नहीं पता है. But yeah, still they have done MRIs. We have seen that. I have seen those, right? When you're emotional, certain part of the brain is like more charged. When you are in ecstasy, or when you are in doing some courageous, then certain part of the brain. So they figured out there is an emotional brain, there is a rational. Okay, that's fine. So that's what he's saying. Man और बुद्धि दोनों से, क्योंकि when we are emotional, we forget our स्थित प्रज्ञ. We become अस्थित प्रज्ञ. अस्थित प्रज्ञ, आ लगा दीजिए आगे. Emotion में we forget the wisdom, right? And Bhagwan says कि no, they have to go together. मन and बुद्धि. और सिर्फ बुद्धि लगाएंगे, then you become like a dry person. You have to have emotion with buddhi too. I should do this. Is it going to impact someone? ऐसा कहते हैं बुद्ध के बारे में. There is a story. We'll stop here. He used to walk, right? And then all of a sudden he'll start walking slow. And then some of his disciples say, ये क्या, आप बीच में तेज चलते रहते फिर कभी-कभी धीरे हो जाते हो? What is this? Then he explained after a lot of questioning कि whenever I see an old man or a crippled man or a person who is disabled cannot walk fast, I slow down. Because it may hurt this person that, oh, I cannot walk fast. That is called karuna. That is called manur buddhi ka samanvay. Buddha was like the embodiment of compassion, like how life is that. That is like, इतना सोचना कि सामने वाले को ये न लग जाए कि मैं तेज चल रहा हूं तो कि I cannot walk fast. That compassion. So emotion and buddhi going together. That's what Bhagwan is. कि बुद्धि और मन के साथ जो समर्पण करेगा मुझे, असंशयम माम एव एष्यसि. एष्यसि means प्राप्त, attain. You will attain me. That means I'll come at the end. Bhagwan's remembrance will come at the end. So the challenge here is, we can talk next slide also. The challenge here is buddhi and emotion and intelligence have to go together. And we'll talk about next time when we meet. Kaise honge. The one way is abhyas, like meditation. Not doing meditation, being meditation. Oh yeah, modern meditation is doing. That's not what Bhagwan is talking. Being in meditation. So and that is the technique. And we all know that, right? All know that. And we all know it is one of the most difficult thing in the world to have emotions and intellect work together in harmony all the time. They work like most of the time, but all the time. And that's what Bhishma was at the Sharsaya. He has so much pain, he is dying. And Bhishma was very frustrated at the end of the life because he made he said, I made a mistake of Draupadi was being like molested and I don't do anything. Lot of curse, like self-curse he had. But one thing he had in the mind, कि जाऊंगा तो भगवान को याद करके जाऊंगा. Because in spite of making mistakes, Krishna was always there in his mind. Manobuddhi. क्योंकि भीष्म तो इमोशनल आदमी भी थे और बुद्धिमान भी थे. But there is a harmony. That's what. So that shlok is very powerful. So we'll stop here and continue next time. What 8th shlok is very powerful. Again, Bhagwan is going to give the technique. So again, death, when he says you'll attain me, means at the time of the death, right? The topic is at the time of the death. That's the whole topic, right? This chapter. कि मैं कैसे भगवान याद आना means शांति से जाना और कुछ नहीं है. भगवान याद आना means क्या? So there is a saying that quit the world honorably. You decide. You want to quit the world honorably, or you will be dispatched forcefully. Very powerful quote, right? That is your choice. You will be dispatched forcefully. कि यार ये तो forceful जा रहे हैं, लोग pressure डाल रहे हैं यार, आपको भी लग रहा है कि जाओ यार अभी. Or you will leave the world honorably. आपकी इच्छा पे, शांति से. That is the choice. And that's what Bhagwan is saying. So there was a poor guy. Poor in the sense, not in the sense, not very rich. So he was born in a very small house because there's a low income person. And when he was born, this house didn't have even the light. That poor, because they didn't have the electricity. But he was born in that house. And he grew up and he did a lot of good work and he became a famous social worker and become a saint, like no person in the town. And then one time, like after everybody knew in the town, such a nice person and saintly person, everything. And then he died one day. So when he died, then everybody gives a speech. So the mayor of the city or the people, he was giving a speech. So he said that when this person came to the world, there was no light. When this person came to the world, because the house had no power, right? It was a very poor family. When this person came to the world, there was no light. And when this person left the world, there is no darkness. Wow, what a life. दूसरों के जीवन में प्रकाश डाल के जाने से अच्छा और क्या हो सकता है? So yeah, we may, that's what there was a saying, somebody, I don't know which, some Vivekananda or somebody said that rather than dying in the temple, I'll die serving someone. What a powerful statement. मंदिर में मरने से अच्छा किसी की सेवा करते हुए मैं मरूं. I think Vivekananda or someone said that. That is life. That is manobuddhi. भगवान कह रहे हैं ये अगर ये this will you can manage throughout the life, then at the end of life this can happen. So we'll stop here and then do our dhyan. But this is a good time to do dhyan with all this teaching Bhagwan ka. Next time we'll talk about Jap. I thought we'll cover, but I think enough time is gone into this. Very interesting. Next time Jap pe baat karenge. But this message today is that we have to keep Bhagwan all the time in mind. So the process, what we do at the end, Bhagwan says, Yukta Asita Matpara. He ends with that whole meditation, that dhyan process. And the Matpara means always keeping me in mind. That's what the whole shlok is from 6th chapter. So it is like if I'm traveling from here to Florida and there is a layover in Atlanta and I have a 4-hour layover, but I don't forget that I had to take the flight for Orlando. I don't just like Atlanta mein baithe hue. That always in the mind that Dana Orlando, destination is always in my mind. I'm not going to miss my flight. Same thing, right? So we'll do that. Dhyan, right? Again, this journey is from Apara Prakriti, Bhagwan's lower nature, to the higher nature. From all 5 senses and physical elements to the Chaitanya Sakshi Atma, which is Bhagwan's Swarup itself. But for right now, it is me, I am Chaitanya Sakshi Atma. That's our journey. So keep the focus on the tip of the nostril and bring image of Prithvi in mind. Prithvi is Bhudevi, which is Bhagwan's Apara Prakriti in gross form. Now shift focus to the tip of the tongue and think of Jal Tattva, which is water, and bring image of any fountain, river, and keep the focus on the tip of the tongue. Now shift focus to the eyes and bring of Agni Tattva, which is Surya Bhagwan. We can bring image of Surya Bhagwan in mind and keep the focus on eyes, because through eyes we see the Agni. Through nose we smell, through tongue we taste. So now we are moving from gross to subtle. So now keep the focus on the skin and feel Vayu around. The Vayu we cannot feel, we cannot see, we cannot taste, we cannot touch, we cannot see, but we can feel on the skin. That is Pavan Devata. So we feel Vayu means we feel Bhagwan around us. Right? That's the note, that's the understanding, that's the goal. And that's the joy. Now shift focus to the ear and hear some sound, because basically we want to feel the space, Akash, but there is no way to see Akash, there is no way to feel. Only thing, sound travels, that means we know there is Akash. So we hear some sound and there is a space around me and inside me. That's Bhagwan's grossest Apara Prakriti, or subtlest Apara Prakriti. Now when these all senses are shut down, mind will automatically quieten, because mind use these senses to transact. The senses are shut down, so mind is quietened. When mind is quietened, buddhi is also quietened, because buddhi is no input from mind. So I am not mind, I am not buddhi, and I am the Chaitanya, Satchidananda, Chaitanya Sakshi Atma. I am the witness. I am Satchidananda, I am Purna. That is my nature. And then Bhagwan says at this stage, do a Brahma Vichar. You can do any thought, like whatever, but Gayatri Mantra is the best Brahma Vichar. Om Bhum Bhuva Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. If you look in essence, Gayatri Mantra is saying exactly the same, that always my buddhi should be in right direction. Right direction means Bhagwan, right? or Satya. That's the Gayatri Mantra. Dhiyo yo na pracho bhargo devasya dhimai. I meditate on you, I do your dhyan, I imbibe you, and should remain always that way. Dhiyo yo na prachodaya. Constantly, all the time. And then Bhagwan says, Yukta asit matpara. In this state, asit will remain, matpara, surrender to me. Again, the same we have to remember. Mayarpit mano buddhi. Man and buddhi together surrender to me. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya